What's going on, guys? Today I'm joined with Melanie Nichols, who was a bookseller in Oklahoma, and she got up to the point where she was doing $1,200 a month. She learned everything about selling books from me. I just found out. She followed me on YouTube. I'm just kidding. She found out from a lot of different resellers on YouTube, but she was able to get to $1,200 a month, but she was having trouble scaling to that next level. And this is a problem I have with a lot of students. Some students, they live in the middle of nowhere. I don't know if you lived in the middle of nowhere, but they don't have access to enough books. And there's so many different strategies. I could probably talk with you and give you even more strategies to find books, but she decided to go a different route, and she's doing wholesale. So this is a lot different than selling books because you're buying a lot of product at once. These products aren't books. And she was able to go from $1,200 a month to $30,000 a month. I don't know what products you're selling exactly, but we'll get into that. And really the purpose of this video is to dissect her story and also to learn about wholesale myself, because I want to start a wholesale business. I'm gonna be asking her some questions about how she got started and how she made that transition. Because my book business is doing well. We did 700,000 last year, but if I can do 25 to 50,000 in wholesale, I know it's something that's scalable, and I don't like having all my income coming from one place. So, Melanie, how you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on here.
How did you get started with entrepreneurship? Like, what was your first entrepreneurial venture?
I actually started when I was really little, really young. I started doing selling things, going around the neighborhood and selling things. So I've always been kind of entrepreneurial, and I did project management and IT throughout my career. But then once I got to where I could start a business again, I did. I've been running since then.
Gotcha. So you were doing IT, and then did you do books on the side, or?
No, I didn't do the books until I had my husband and I retired. But I was too young to retire, and I knew that we were going to blow through our retirement with all the fun we were having. So I wanted to make sure we had a business going. So I started looking for business opportunities, and the first couple didn't work. And then I found the book selling possibility, and you were one of the people that I did follow. So you did help me a lot. And I got started doing that. And that was some income.
What was your biggest flaw before doing books? What was did you ever do the Mary Kay? Is it Mary Kay, the MLM scheme? Did you ever get into?
I did do a couple of those, okay. And I don't like those at all. They're not good for me, for sure. And let's see, what else did I do? I tried to do where I tried to sell marketing, but I didn't even really know it yet myself. I was trying to help businesses create marketing plans. I didn't know it yet myself, so I wasn't able. I failed at that. That was rightly so. Yeah, I've been doing. Go ahead.
With books, was that like your first success, or was it what did you like about books?
I was kind of shocked. You could find books, you go in and scan them and find that there was actual value. And I could sell them on eBay or Amazon. I do a little bit of both, mostly Amazon, but that you could get something for $1 or $3 and then sell it for, a huge profit really for that value. But it's just, doing that one-on-one, and it's where I live now, it just really wasn't possible to kind of keep doing that way.
Okay. So you were going to thrift stores, libraries. Did you ever do Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or Nextdoor?
No, I started to, but I don't know. I got nervous about having to meet up with people, so I didn't do it.
Nextdoor is better than Craigslist because Craigslist is kind of sketchy. My mom, growing up, was always like, don't sell anything on Craigslist. She always had some crazy story about how someone got killed in a Home Depot parking lot or something. But the Craigslist is you don't know with Craigslist, but Nextdoor is this app where my students have been crushing it with Nextdoor. Everyone listening, if you're a bookseller, go post on Nextdoor. You can get a bunch of free books that way. But yeah, so you were kind of stuck in. You were not able to scale to the next level because you were I only can source so many books. I'm tired of going to thrift stores, libraries. Yeah. You wanted to venture into a model, and this is something I talk about with booksellers, find replenishable inventory. Wholesale is replenishable inventory. It's inventory you can get over and over and over again. Right. And that once it sells out, you probably should be smart and restock before it sells out. But as long as it's selling for a profit, restock it, and the profit margins aren't as high as books, but they're more predictable in the long run. So that's what's really exciting about it for me, is to just get this more stability and predictability. So how long did it take you to get up to 30,000 in sales?
It actually didn't take that long. I got started, I would say got started last year about March, where I was learning. I actually joined a thing called TWF, the Wholesale Formula, and that they taught me the basics, really getting into how do you do it, like nuts to bolts. It was just really good to help me not feel uncomfortable doing it, because I was scared at first to, make those first steps, but with that, solid foundation, it really helped me to go forward. So it was by about I would say in 6 months, I was that high. It took me like 3 months to kind of get started. And then, so it really wasn't long. It's very quick if you just follow the process.
And so was it overwhelming? Because for me, it's like, all right, this is so overwhelming thinking about reaching out to suppliers or wholesale. Is it you reach out to wholesalers, distributors? Like, who are you reaching out to exactly? Like, for me, that just sounds like overwhelming. Like, I don't know if I picked up the phone, I don't know what I would say. Like, how did you deal with that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you get a lot of kind of tips on how to do that. And it's really funny, the first time I actually did this, and I was scared to death. And I had set up a bunch of calls. And the very first one, I was like writing down what I'm going to say. And I was talking to people about it. We were storyboarding kind of back and forth. So I had it on a written up, so I was going to read it off to him. And then right before the call, the internet went down because I live out in the middle of nowhere, right? So I had nothing. And I just made the call. I talked to him like a human, a person. You just talk to him like you would anybody. And it's just so easy. So, I mean, it's just, I was able to.
What are you framing yourself as? Are you pretending to be like a big business, or are you just saying like, hey, I'm a regular person, or like, how are you, like when you call up, like, who are you, Melanie?
Yeah. Well, I am the director of purchasing of my company. Okay. When I call them, and that's all they know, it's only online. So they don't really, ask those questions. And because you have some knowledge and some background on what to say and what's about the industry, you sound professional, and it works just fine.
Gotcha. And that's probably hard the first few times, but after a while you get the hang of it.
Oh yeah. After the first time, you realize it's not, probably after a couple of times, but I mean, after the first time I realized like, it wasn't that hard. I didn't have to get that scared.
Gotcha. So that's probably like the most important thing for people to do starting out, right? Is establish the relationship. And then once you get that relationship, are you getting like a list that you run? Like a list of all the inventory, and how are you determining? Because like if you have a list of thousands of items, how are you determining which ones to go after?
Yeah, there's a lot of processes that are defined for you to help you figure that out. But you actually want to run the list and make sure you don't want to source a product that's not going to be profitable for you. So you know what the price is that they'll give it to you for, and you know what Amazon's price is, and you can get their fees, and you can kind of figure out from there. And they have calculators for this too. Even Amazon has a calculator to help you figure out what your profit is. I don't like to go after anything that's any less than 30% profit.
Okay. So that means if you spend $10, you want at least $3 coming back.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. But is there like, you're not like copy and pasting these one by one, or are you, into the calculator? Or is there like a software?
No, there's
generates.
Yeah, there's software. There's two in particular. One is Price Checker 2. Is it all right if I share that? That's all right. Price Checker 2, and then another one is.
I'm trying to learn myself. You guys share everything.
I'm supposed to drop names here. Yeah, Price Checker 2 is a great one. That's the one we use, and then some people use. I think it's I don't know if it's Techometrics. There's another one that does it. I think it's Techometrics.
Okay.
It actually runs it through, and it'll give you the profit. So you just look at it,
and it. Out of 1,000, is there generally like only 5 that are good, or is it 50? Is it 100?
It depends on the wholesaler. I've only found one or two that are really great where all their prices are almost, you're almost guaranteed to get a really good profit on it. But what you have to do is go in and you build a relationship with them, and then you try to work on your terms as you go along to get better terms, and increases your profit, and then you can buy more from them. So it's just kind of all a process. It's all about relationships, really.
So once you land a profitable product, how much do you have to order at once? Like there's usually like a minimum order quantity, right? They don't want to be selling 50 items to you. It's usually more than that, right? How much do you have to invest?
That depends on the supplier. Some of them have they may not have a minimum, but you don't get any price discount until you order, say, 1,000 units or over $1,000 worth, or that kind of thing. So it just depends on what they're looking for.
Okay. And then are you like shipping all these to your house and packing them like books, FBA, shipping them back out to Amazon, or how are you doing that?
Well, this isn't the best answer, but I was sending it to 3PL, and they were
3PL.
Third party logistics. So I sent it to a warehouse where they would get it from my supplier and unpack it and repack it however it needed to be, put the labels on it,
Okay.
and then send it out to Amazon for me. But it was a little expensive, and I have a warehouse and I have employees that were helping me anyway. So we just sent it to us now.
Okay.
And then we sent it to Amazon.
Or did you get one for the wholesale business?
We built one on our property. So we just got one. We got a business address there, and yeah, we got. It had already been built. I did move the books in there, and I could tell you the story about the crazy books I bought, but but now we're using it for warehouse for wholesale.
Okay. I was actually. Do you know the app Clubhouse?
No.
Okay, so it's a new app, and it's pretty cool. It's addictive, but you should get on there because you could give some good information to people. But I've somehow got caught in a few wholesale rooms, which I've always been fascinated by. I had watched me Amazon on my channel. I think I sent you Amazon Lit's interview, and they're just going crazy. They're doing
they're cool.
Several million each month now. But I was talking to all the wholesalers, and I explained I want to dip my toes in this business, and I want it to be something that can grow into a 6-figure income for me each year, but I want to start slow, and I don't want to use my own space, and I don't want to stress my current systems. So it's a tall order, but I was thinking use prep centers and have all of the inventory shipped to prep centers. And even though I'm paying more per unit, I know some charge like $1 or $2 per unit. It would be worth it for me not to have to invest in a warehouse, not to have to hire new employees, because all my employees right now, they work from their living room. All the people that pack books for me, the books arrive on their doorstep, but I don't know how they would feel. I know one guy he actually receives pallets of books for my restricted inventory service, but I don't know how he would feel about 3 pallets of beauty products, every single day or whatever. I don't know how volume I'd be doing. So
the big problem if you're receiving these kind of shipments is you really have to have a commercial. You have to have a commercial warehouse because you're going to have 18-wheelers come in. You got to have some sort of you have to have a forklift. And so using that sort of a prep center is really a great way to go.
Gotcha. And then this reminds me of one of those high school math equations where you have what's it like this, or is it on the cameras this way, where you have the y-axis and you have the x-axis, and it's if you work a job for, I don't know, it's if you work a job for $7 an hour, or if I paid you $10,000 once every 3 months, what would be better? And it shows the line of $7 an hour. This is a terrible example, or the $10,000, but it reminds me of the same thing with this 3PL, whatever is that the same thing as a
prep center? It's a prep center, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So with the prep center, it's okay, you're paying $1 per unit. If you're doing 1,000 units a month, that's $1,000 that you're paying to prep. Or you can invest, I don't know, $1,500 in a warehouse. I don't know how much warehouse space is. And then $14 an hour for somebody to work for you. And so starting out, that would be way more up here because you'd have that initial investment of $1,500 versus being down here, or I don't even know which way. But you get what I'm saying? Over time, you would be spending more money on prepping these products because you're paying $1 per item. So eventually it would make sense to transition to the warehouse after after, let's say you're prepping like 10,000 units a month. Okay, now you're paying $10,000 or maybe even 20,000 to a prep center. So it just makes sense getting your own warehouse and paying someone 14 an hour to do the same thing for you. So I think that's the way I'm going to go about it. Like I'm going to start with 3PL and pay the outrageous cost or whatever, $1 or $2 per item, but then eventually transition to a warehouse if it makes sense. Because I like to travel, I like to go different places. I like to not have to worry about employees. The cool thing about my employees is they get to work in their living rooms, but and so they stay with me long term. But I feel like warehouse employees, they're a different animal because you have to keep hiring them over and over again. They're more likely to leave,
There's a lot of people who do it that way. They never get it in their own warehouse, and they build big businesses doing that. So, and if you like to travel, you like that freedom, like there's some guys that'll say, well, that's what I want my business to be. I want that freedom.
How big of businesses have these people built just using prep centers?
Into the millions.
Wow.
Amazing what they've done.
I'm sure they work out deals with prep centers at a certain point. It's like, hey, look, I'm making you.
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? When you get huge volumes, then you work on lowering your price with the prep center. So, hey, I'm moving this much stuff through you guys. You can give me a better price. They're kind of expensive. Everything's expensive right now, shipping and, everything's going up. But
Gotcha. What advice would you have for a beginner, somebody like me who just wants to get started?
I think it'd be great to have, do some sort of a kind of a coaching program or a program that's set up to teach you how to do it, teach you the basics of it. And I think that would be, that's how I got started.
We actually do, Dan and Dylan, who taught you how to wholesale, correct?
Mm-hmm, right.
They gave away, my roommate, Steve, set up a relationship with me. So we have these free guides that they're giving away. So Melody's one of their students. Below it's bookbizblueprint.com/free guides. So if you guys want to check this out, I'm actually going to go through these as well. There's a Wholesale 101 guide, the ultimate guide to starting a wholesale business in 2021 and beyond, and the ultimate product sourcing checklist. So I believe Kyle Stansberry was asking if there's a particular product niche to look out for. So I'm sure that this guide here has a bunch of different products to look out for. Do you have any, without giving away your products, do you have any advice for kind of what niche to go into?
I mean, of course, on Amazon, there's going to be some that are easier to get into. When you first go in, there's some that are ungated. They'll probably be the ones you'd want to start out with. That tends to be like home and garden or kind of kitchen. That's sort of ungated and easy to get into. That when I say gated, it means that you have to actually get approvals, and Amazon has to say, okay, yes, you can go ahead and sell in here. And sometimes it takes a while for them to do that.
Right. Amazon gating people has actually made a large portion of my business, restrictedinventory.com. I'm going to give a shout out to this, and I'll explain a little bit about it.
Grind hard, well done, sir, and welcome to the freaking well show.
So it's not good that there's restrictions for a lot of people, but it worked out for me because I could sell products that nobody else could sell. And now literally I have over 1,000 customers that send me inventory. So it worked out. And I'm not doing this just as a plug for restricted inventory. I think it's a good point. That's what makes books amazing. Starting out, you don't have to worry about restrictions, but going into wholesale and knowing my knowledge about restrictions, I would probably focus at the beginning on products that don't have that many restrictions. But I think over time, I would start going towards the restricted products and find ways to get ungated because there's less competition. The textbooks I sell for my customers, we sell for like 2 times what they sold 4 years ago. And this is because no sellers after 2016 can sell textbooks. So it's because I have an older account that I can sell these. So I've noticed the textbooks have gone crazy high in prices because the supply has gone down. Supply goes down, price goes up. And with wholesale, what I would do is I'd start out with the ungated products, but then I'd be like, okay, what can most sellers not sell? Like what is hard to get ungated in? And then I would go build a relationship with the supplier. And I think something cool about wholesale versus online arbitrage or even books is if Amazon asks you for invoices, we can't provide them. Because what are we going to show them? Like a goodwill receipt,
Right.
But with wholesale, anytime they ask for invoices, oh, okay, whatever. Immediately just upload it. Go to your email, find the invoice, and upload it. So that's a benefit in of itself, because a lot of people do retail arbitrage or online arbitrage. It's like you'd have to show them like a weird invoice from someone who's not really a trusted distributor. But with wholesale, your account's more stable, which is really one of the reasons why I'm interested in wholesale. Is right now my business, my restricted inventory business at least, is very volatile, because at any point in time, Amazon could restrict me and I don't have invoices to show them. Like I actually spent $1,600 last week on textbooks, brand new from the distributor, just in case they ever do ask for invoices. I can show them that, but I don't know how well those will suffice. But with wholesale, you're building a business that is legitimate. And if Amazon ever asks you any questions about the authenticity of your product, you can immediately provide invoices. So I think it's more of a stable business from that perspective.
Yeah, it's huge. And if Amazon wants more information, like sometimes they want like a letter of authorization, or you might need like a, SDS, a little bit more information about the product, you just go get that from whoever your supplier is. So that is nice.
What's the SES?
SDS is it's if like, let's say you're selling beauty products, they want to know, is it I can't remember what it stands for right now. SDS, it's like a hazmat thing. So is what's in it, has it been, it's all been tested, is it approved, and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Sorry.
Is there like certain products you just shouldn't even consider? Because like right now, I'm working on actually my own private label. These scanners, I got all these scanners from China that.
Oh, cool.
I'm doing everything. I'm doing reselling, private label, and I do a little bit of private label. But I've always focused on, with books, they're amazing because they're so small. They don't cost much to ship. That's what makes this business doable. You can ship them for 20 cents to Amazon. Like, it's crazy cheap. The first item I ever flipped was a couch. And I didn't even flip it successfully. I purchased a couch. This is like 2018 or 2017. I was, I'm going to start a flipping business. I'm going to start flipping couches. Like, it's the worst thing I could have thought of. So I got a couch at my dad's house. And my dad's like, get this shit out of here. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, Dad, just give me 2 weeks. I'm going to sell it. 2 weeks goes by. Still haven't sold it yet. It's on Craigslist. It's listed. I think I put it on Facebook Marketplace as well. I was listening to Gary Vee. I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to flip it. And then so he put it back. I had a Toyota Corolla. I still have a Toyota Corolla. I put it on top of my car. And I drive it back to Goodwill and I dropped it off. And then like the week after, like 7 people messaged me for it, and I would have made $50 on it. But a big mistake I realized, and this is why I got into books, was how many couches can I realistically have in my parents' garage?
Yeah,
for
that matter.
Probably 2 or 3. But with books, I can have an infinite number, really an infinite number, because I'm using Amazon FBA. So I can fit thousands in my space, where now my employees' living rooms. I can fit thousands there, but they can ship them all to Amazon. Now I have over 10,000 units in stock almost at all times. So, and that's not taking up any of my space, and they're very cheap to ship. With wholesale, you probably should stray away from like bigger items, right? Like even like, would this be too big? Like a gallon of water? Or are you selling items?
I mean, there's the size, and then there's the weight, and then anything oversized is going to cost you a whole lot more at Amazon. And it turns out, I've been talking with a bunch of people, the heavier and the bigger something is, your IPI score goes down, that's how Amazon determines how much you can send in when they start to limit things.
Gotcha.
So the IPI score is pretty important. Don't ask me what that stands for. It's about your inventory. Inventory performance.
People ask me that question all the time. What's it stand for?
Inventory performance indicator. That's
okay,
what it is.
Yeah. I get questions about that all the time.
They do not like big things in their warehouse. So that's one thing. And then another one is anything that's like has anything to do with pesticides or has any sort of like because of COVID, and all that stuff that happened. Anything that says disinfectant they're all over it. So, I mean, just be really careful on things like that. Supplements they're really sticklers right now and kind of really making people jump through hoops. So those are harder to get into. I would stay away from them.
So let's say I start getting successful, or somebody watching this starts getting success with one niche? Should you only focus on that niche moving forward? Should you like kind of niche down in a niche? Should you really focus on one product? Like if you get really good at beauty or really good at grocery, I don't know if that sounds sketchy to me.
Gourmet foods. Yeah, no, definitely, because you start building relationships and you can say, look, I have all these products. I already do this kind of thing, and look what we do with them. So you want to try and help all the brands that you work with, all the suppliers and brands, and you can show your success, and it really will help you build relationships with suppliers, and it helps you know that industry better, so you can sell better, you can advertise better. There's a lot of reasons to do it.
Okay. And you said 30% profit margins. What is the return on your investment? So
well, that's ROI, 30% ROI.
Oh, 30%
minimum.
ROI.
I prefer 50 for wholesale.
Okay. So if you sell, your average sales price?
Average is about 29.
29. So you're probably getting paid 20 from Amazon for that revenue?
No. That would be about $7 to $9.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Oh, what do you mean? Oh, I'm talking on the each. You're talking on the total. Yeah.
I'm talking about like, what is Amazon going to pay you for a $29 product that sells? Like if you looked at what Amazon's going to disperse in your bank account, would it be close to like Amazon's going to take about $9 in fees for a $29 product?
So 15. Well, that's 15 and then 5. Yeah, it'd be about $5 each.
$5. Okay.
For the average. Yeah. So I guess my average is more closer to 30%, a little bit lower.
Gotcha. So you're investing. So for every $100 you invest, you're getting $130 back generally.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's
a great investment. Yeah.
Yeah. Thing with books is like you can invest $1 and get 10 like
or more, 100. Yeah.
The problem with books at scale, again, I've taught many people to sell books full time, but if you go the bulk route, the thing about bulk books is you get to the point where you have pallets and pallets of books, but 90% of the material you're not going to sell on Amazon. You're just going to give back to Goodwill. But with wholesale, you're getting a whole pallet and you're actually monetizing every single product on that pallet. So,
right.
And it sells faster. Speaking of that, how often do you sell through? So how often can you see your money? How quickly can you see your money come back into your bank account?
I did have a hiccup with COVID and Q4 coming up. So things kind of slowed down for me, but when it's running smoothly, we're trying to get back in stock with everybody. But once it's running smoothly, it's about I order every 30 days. And I go through it just about as quick. So I'm probably going to use my order.
Product. So your money should be back within 35, 40 days.
Yes.
So the money you spend. What do you think what do you think bare minimum somebody could start out with? Like realistically?
You can find people that will do, small orders. You could get, but you may not get quite as good a return on investment, but if that's where you need to start, I kind of started out that way. I wanted to bootstrap. I didn't want to get in a lot of debt. So
yeah, I'm the same way. Like I have money that I could invest, but I don't want to, like, I was talking to my buddy who does retail arbitrage. Like I don't want to go into business where I'm just like constantly like just throwing money away to scale. Like I want to test it out. I want to go slow and I want to make sure that I'm learning from good people and I'm able to get that money back in my bank account within 30 or 40 days. Like that's exciting right there.
Yeah.
Because with books, it's an average of 3 months sell-through rate. So you can make money in your first month or 2 months with the inventory you sent in, but it takes about 3 months. So the thing is, they're so cheap, it doesn't really matter. But with something like this, you can make a lot more money quicker.
Right, but you have more of your money tied up in the meantime. Yeah, and there is, of course, that delay time of getting it. So you got to order it. So you got a delay time getting it from the supplier, and then there's a delay time getting it to Amazon and getting them to check it in. And when they're really busy, that can be a long delay sometimes.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that Q4. You said before we went on this call, you were talking about how you should have sent a lot more inventory in. You're kind of kicking yourself.
Yes.
Which Q4 is this for you? Is this your first, second?
It's my first one. And
That's
I
probably why
knew
you made
better, but because of COVID, okay, so my suppliers were already struggling and getting enough product in because COVID and the just supply chains had really disrupted their supply. So they would only let me order so much. And I did try and order a little more because I knew it would probably go up, but I totally sold out of everything in Q4, which is not a good place to be. You want to, do your best to make as much as you can during that time and have it and never go out of stock. That's really not a good thing to do, but I did. So now I'm struggling to get back, and we're all kind of getting our supply chains back in order and in line. And
that's a good problem though. Like
it's a good problem.
It's better than sending a lot of stuff in and being like it's not selling.
I mean, things I wouldn't even. So I had stuff for Halloween. I had some crazy costumes, like a hot dog costume and something else. And those sold after Halloween all the way through until they totally sold out. I thought I was going to have a whole bunch left over. I mean, I don't know if it's because people were at home, like just extra shopping or what happened, but it was a good quarter as far as that goes.
You can't really compare online sales over the years since like all this craziness has happened.
Right.
I know the statistics. Like I have them written right here. 38% of online sales used to be on Amazon.com. So when people would go, it's like Google. People go and they say Google it. Like that's a verb now. Like search.
Yeah.
Like the search engine is dominating. With Amazon, 38% of people when they're going to buy an online product, they would just go to Amazon and search for it. They wouldn't go to Google. No, not Yahoo. Nowhere else. Amazon. Now 60%, and that changed in the last year after this whole thing happened. And 12% of consumer sales used to make up the online marketplace, and now 52% of marketplace sales, period, like brick and mortar included, 52% occur online. So that's like a 4 to 5x increase. So all online businesses, Amazon Lit, those guys I interviewed, I don't know how much of it you watched, but they actually they like doubled their sales. Like it was crazy. Like it was, and my sales, I noticed kind of like because textbook season's the biggest for me. So this whole thing happened after textbook season. So I didn't notice like a crazy increase, but then the textbook season in August, I did even better. So online sales, like whatever business you're in right now, like online sales are crushing it.
Yeah, they're really not expecting it to go back. Like if there isn't a norm where we go back to life like it was, if that even happens, they're really not expecting the online sales to go down, because now the people that were afraid to buy online have had that experience and they like
Yeah, it's like there's a different consumer, like not different, but the consumer that used to go out in the physical world is forced to shop online. But also, for example, I never ordered pizza before this whole thing. And I never would order it. I just go and pick it up. Like, why am I going to order it? I'm just going to go pick it up. Like, I'm on my way home. But I couldn't go in places. And I started ordering pizza. You can see my orders from the last year. It's kind of embarrassing. I've ordered pizza so many times now because it's so easy. So I was converted to an online customer for something I traditionally would go out. And so now they got me. I'm sucked in. Even after like this is all, I can go walk down the street and get pizza now in Miami at least. But they converted me for a lifetime. And a lot of people, who weren't online shoppers, a lot of older people, now they're online shoppers. Yeah. So the marketplace is just like exponentially expanded over the last year.
Totally.
We got a lot of questions coming in here. So if you guys have questions, go ahead and comment them. I see Junkman in here, Felix, Stefan. You're going to be famous after this, Melanie. We got a lot of fans in here for you.
Oh, cool.
Pedro's asking, how long until you're ungated? 6 months, 10 months. I've been selling FBA since late August. So I don't know if you're talking about textbooks. Textbooks, you can't get ungated in. You have to be grandfathered in. But I'll let you answer this, Melanie, in terms of, let's say you're gated in a product. How do you go about getting ungated?
So one thing is, if you build a relationship with the supplier and ask them kind of for an invoice, like a pro forma invoice, if they haven't sent you anything yet, and then you can go to Amazon and try to get ungated with that. After a while of being on Amazon, sometimes you'll ask to get ungated and they won't even ask for anything. They'll just ungate you. So and that's all on Amazon's, whim. But, I did one time source a product I was not ungated in, and Amazon would not ungate me.
Really?
So you do
How many
definitely
times did
need to
you
be a
apply?
little careful. Pardon me?
How many times did you apply?
I applied twice, and then I ended up getting some help from there's a company that kind of helps people get
Oh, so
ungated
they
when
did
they run
get you
into trouble.
You eventually did get ungated?
I did, yeah.
So,
I
okay,
got
so
ungated in several different areas.
that's interesting. I wonder what those companies do, because I've gotten ungated in every category that I've tried to get ungated in. I've never once experienced not being able to get ungated. Now, they told me 13 times when I had to get ungated for popular music. They told me no 13 times. I had to keep applying. It was crazy. I was like, maybe I'm just not going to get ungated, but eventually I did. I really think these companies might just keep applying for you. I think
They
they might.
might. Yeah, and I was just really busy, and I
They're
wanted
probably
to
better
get
at
it.
wording it. They're probably
Yeah,
better at like highlighting certain parts of the invoice and showing that you are giving them everything they're asking for. But
right.
I got ungated in Lego, American Girl doll, like these brands that people say you have to like have a crazy good account for. I
Yeah,
got ungated in them just by ordering books from distributors. So
right.
I think it's just a matter of persistence, but that's coming from a bookseller, not
I
a
think it
wholesaler.
is too. I think it is too.
Kevin's saying over time, it's important to source inventory. It has more barriers to entry for other sellers. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the benefit of these gated. Are you going that route? Are you going more towards like, are you thinking I should be going towards the gated categories?
I did, yes, and I got ungated in over the counter and some of these stuff that they're having a lot of trouble with right now, and I kind of backed away from them, and I did have some of those products, but I've stopped handling them because it is very contentious right now with Amazon. But it's you're right. I probably should look into getting back into that because that is a good. People are having trouble, so
Yeah. Barrier to entries are huge.
yeah.
What about price tanking and fluctuation concerns? This is a good question. So what do you do about ensuring that the item is not just going to tank in price? You think it's going to make you $10 profit, but then it drops $10 and now you're breaking
Yeah,
even.
sometimes you just can't help it. But a lot of people you source with want you to follow what's called a MAP. They're minimal advertised price, and I won't go below that. That when it tanks is when there's people that will go below it, and then Amazon likes to push all the business, of course, to them. But as part of the business, you just kind of wait till they sell out. Of course, the supplier is not going to want to keep supplying them. You just kind of make sure they know it. And once they sell out, it just goes back to normal. So you just have to have a
That was called MAP. And what did that stand for?
minimally advertised price. And that means you're
Okay.
really not supposed to go under that price at all.
Okay. Gotcha. Makes sense. We got Marrakech. I don't know if I'm saying that right. From Seattle, Washington. What up? Stefan is saying, hell yeah. Stefan Shi. Felix says, same here. Pizza, that is the most delivered item besides pot.
I was wondering if you were going to say that.
Houston, Texas,
Hey.
in the house. Pedro. Pedro says books. Mr. JLR says best way to start. I will say I'm very impressed by your knowledge. Just for doing this for 1 year now, is it?
Yeah.
1 year, and she's learned a lot from these guys. If you guys check the link below, I'm going to be going through this as well, but she's learning this all from Dan and Dylan. They have free wholesale guides. You can sign up for those below. Wholesale 101 and also a product sourcing checklist. So I'll be going through this with you guys. I might start like a Facebook community dedicated to this or something, but I will say I'm very impressed with you. Because you're very like, I can tell like you learn these things like the right way. Like you're not just like going out there and learning from
They have
different people.
Yeah, they really have a good system. They really teach you all the basics. It's like you don't feel like they're holding anything back. They really teach you how to do this. I love it.
So what would you recommend for Mr. JLR? Best way to get started? Would it be just high level, would it just be like contacting the suppliers? Would it be like, what is like the first actual step for wholesale? Like,
I think the first step is you want to find products that you could actually be profitable on. So you start by brainstorming, looking through Amazon, look at the products. You want to get tools like Jungle Scout has a good tool that can kind of tell you how many sales they have on a particular product. Then you look to see how many sellers they are and try to figure out if you think you'd be profitable with that. Then you could talk to maybe go try and get their contact and talk to that supplier.
So do you want to go after, because this is my concern, like I would feel overwhelmed going on Amazon, looking at the top 100 items. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like the best selling items, everybody's gonna be looking at the best selling items. So like there's too much competition there.
Yeah.
And I would also think they don't want to work with somebody small like me. So is there like a balance? Like, are you going to be focusing on brands or I guess, brands or wholesalers or products that don't have a whole lot of like, they're not like one of the big fish? Is that kind of what you're going after?
Like if they're making like $1 million a month or, $250,000 a month, that they're probably set on their whole supply chain. They're probably not going to be wanting to talk to you.
So what are some things I can look out for? Like if I go to Amazon right now and I look at I'm looking at the top 1,000, the top 100, like, and then what am I looking for? Like, what are some red flags? I'll stay away from that versus go towards that.
I would actually just start looking at things that you're interested in, like I have dogs, I might go look in the dog category and then try to niche it down like lower into don't start at dog, make it like a long tail keyword, dog collars for large dogs or something, some large keyword. Do a search and then you'll have a bunch of different products that show up. Then you want to look and see how many reviews do all these guys have? Like if they have 1,000 reviews or more, there might be a lot of competition, but you can use Jungle Scout and kind of see what the sales are and the reviews and start to see where you might kind of fit in there. And then of course there's a whole checklist. I think, is that what that product?
I think that is the product sourcing, the ultimate product sourting checklist. So that must be what that is. It tells you step by step how to
if you'll do that, follow those steps, it'll give you a really good idea of what you can go ahead and look for and source. Gotcha.
Yeah, that seems like the biggest hurdle for me. I think a few years ago, actually, before I really went deep into books, I still have the Jungle Scout extension, but I was just overwhelmed. I was like, I don't know. Like I was thinking too much about it. I was like, there's too many people going to be doing this, like too many reviews. I didn't really have anyone mentoring me. So that's why I look forward to going through like these free guides and really finding out exactly what products to focus on versus like what products are going to lose money. What would you say the biggest difference is for you going from being a bookseller, even though you weren't a full-time bookseller, because you said you were just doing $1,200 each month, to now where you're making a full-time income with wholesale? How does your day-to-day look different? What does your focus really go towards now?
I'm really focused on building relationships. So for me, and so I've got a VA who helps me, actually does the sourcing part for me now. So that's why I kind of forgot what this.
That's why I'm really excited to get into it. I'm the master.
So she does that and she follows that whole, that's their system.
Where is she located? Is she overseas?
She's in the Philippines.
Okay. So super cheap. You guys can get VAs for like $1.50 to $4 an hour over in the Philippines.
Yeah, and they have a great work ethic, and they'll work hard for you, and you just gotta kind of give them direction, and they're off. So I love them. Yeah. So she focuses on finding products and then finding contacts, and then we send out email. We try to send out like 200 or more a week to try and build relationships and kind of get our foot in the door. And then I start talking with them. So they might say yes right away. Usually that's not the best source. You might only have like 20% profit or 15 or 5, and unless they'll do a better deal, you don't want to talk with them. But then you also want to talk with people to start building relationships and try to find out where you've got the best fit, that works for both of you.
Gotcha. So she's kind of like qualifying them a little bit.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah, she won't even send an email to anybody if they don't kind of fit the criteria that is something that we want to look for.
That's nice. I've gotten really good at using VAs over the last year. So I'm excited I'm going to put them on all these small projects that I find out what to do. Boom, give it to the VA, have them make me a list. And I really think that this is going to help me with my book business too, because I'm looking to scale my book business more with relationships. And I know that's like what these wholesale guys are all about, is relationships, presenting yourself. And I feel like I got the hustle down, like with even like I have, ways of reaching out to libraries, thrift stores, and getting them to communicate, but it's all from like trial and error. So I'm really excited to learn from people who do this like professionally, because then I can fine tune everything I'm doing in the book world. Because a lot of people are doing this in the book world. They're not really like being professional, and they don't really have the mindset to build a big business, like a real business. Or
and you can do that. And you've probably already done this, but you can, source directly from book publishers and, actually, yeah.
I do that to get my invoices, but I don't know like the wholesale art of like running these lists you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to take 1,000 items or 1,000 books on a list and say, okay, these 5 would be good to sell. And I could sell them brand new. So I'd be able to sell them for more. We got Pedro asking about the buy box. He says, can you talk about getting the buy box?
Oh, that's a good question. There's of course, you've heard about the A9 algorithm. So there's a whole bunch of things that Amazon looks at to put you in the buy box. The easiest way to get the buy box is to be the only seller on an item. So if you have a really great relationship with a supplier, maybe you have an exclusive with them, you'll have 100% of the buy box, or maybe you're helping them. They have 100% of the buy box, and you're kind of helping them by managing their Amazon account. That's a different way you could go as well. Then, of course, the more sellers there are, that Amazon, as long as all things are equal, so they all have the same price, they have about the same, rating, Amazon will just flip it, the buy box between the number of sellers is the best that I know of. I think that's a true statement. And then other than that, there's a whole bunch of things that the A9 algorithm, and I'm not sure I know all, I couldn't answer that for sure.
I don't like buy box questions because it's always changing, and Amazon does what they want, and they're not in the storage-based business. They're in the business to sell. So their intention is to sell as many as possible, and maybe not. They're very consumer centric, which is good. Like, we should be happy that Amazon's so consumer centric because that's how they built the business they did. But sometimes sellers suffer as a result. Sometimes sellers don't get the buy box. Sometimes sellers, they can't price an item too high because Amazon wants it to sell cheap to not make people angry. If they always gave FBA sellers the buy box, we would abuse it. We'd price it too high. So there's a lot that comes into the buy box.
I think they definitely favor FBA, and then how many of an item you have. Like if you have a large, if they know you're not going to sell out quickly, they'll probably give you the buy box a little more.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Do you have any last minute advice? I don't know if are you on social media at all?
Online retail strategy.
Okay.
So I have a Facebook page,
Facebook,
Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram.
Awesome. You guys start posting on YouTube.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
As well. Do you have any last minute advice, maybe questions that I didn't answer, something you want to leave the audience with?
I'll just say, if you're interested in doing this, that now is a great time to get in. I know it might seem like, well, I should have gotten in 2 years ago. That's always true. It's true for me, but it's always now is the best time. And I don't see this slowing down. It's a great opportunity.
Awesome. Sweet. If you guys want to get started, there are free wholesale guides as well. It's bookbizblueprint.com/free guides. And you'll get the product sourcing checklist to make sure you're getting profitable items, and also the wholesale 101 guide, the ultimate guide to starting a wholesale business in 2021 and beyond. So that's it. Appreciate you coming on, and go follow her on social media. And I'll see you guys next time. If you guys haven't already, smash that like button and hit that subscribe button. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.
Bye all.
Bye.